What's up, gang? Welcome back to the channel. We got another UFC event this weekend. UFC Fight Night on ESPN. Kamaru Usman versus Buckley. And I'm breaking down every matchup with all the predictions, quick, sharp, and straight to the point. Let's get into it. So, first fight on the card, we have Philip Rowe and Ange Loosa. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that I'm not the biggest fan of Ange Loosa because of what he did in that Brian battle fight. You know, he was saying that he couldn't fight anymore because he got poked in the eye, and then once the fight was called off, he was ready to fight again and started beefing with Brian right after that. And ever since then, I never really liked him after that. But he kind of just took the easy way out in a fight that he was losing. Regardless, though, if he isn't poked in the eye, if he's hurt or if he's tired, he will still keep fighting. He's not a quitter. Unless he gets poked in the eye, he's not a quitter. He will keep fighting despite being tired or hurt. So that's something good I like about him. So I'm picking Ange Loosa to win this fight. And I'm picking Ange Loosa to win this fight because he's super durable. He's built like a tank. He's never been finished. He's a decent striker with good volume, solid power, and he has great takedown defense. Although I don't think he's going to need that here. He has great takedowns as well. So something else to note about him is that he's the only man to take Gabriel Bonfim to a decision. In all Gabriel's fights, he was finishing people or getting finished, and Enzusa was durable enough to go to full 15 minutes with him. And when it comes to Philip Rowe, I don't see him being or having the best fight IQ. He's gonna be very tall here. He'll have a 4 to 5 inch height advantage, which could be used to his advantage. Although I just don't think he knows how to use it to his advantage. And so overall, Philip Rowe, he's also a great fighter, a good fighter, primarily a lengthy striker. But I just think Ange Lusso will have a better fight IQ and he'll just grind out a win here. His volume will overpower Phil Rowe, and I think he'll be levels above. I think he'll be levels above Phil Rowe. So sum it up, Rowe, he's tall, he's a long striker, but questionable fight IQ. Loosa, durable, solid volume, great takedown defense, and he's never been finished, which is why I'm picking Ange Loosa to win this fight. Smarter fighter, more volume, and he's just more reliable. So yeah, on to the next fight. We have Malcom Wellmaker versus Kris Moutinho. This is a pretty straightforward pick. I'm picking Malcolm Wellmaker. This guy, he's going to go far up in the UFC rankings. Y'all seen what he did to Cameron Simon. Like, I knew he would dominate that fight. I just didn't think he would knock him out in like 30 seconds. But this kid's the truth. Malcolm Wellmaker is the truth. And Kris Moutinho, he's not really UFC level. Will he ever get a UFC win? Maybe. I don't know. But it definitely won't be this fight. So, Malcolm, he's really good at timing shots. And Kris, he's really good at walking in the shots. So, I can see Malcolm Wellmaker putting his lights out in this fight because he has that one shot knockout power, as we just seen. Whereas when he got beat by Sean O'Malley, it was more like of a volume of strikes that hit him. But he did seem really durable that fight, and he got hit with some big shots. But I feel Malcolm Wellmaker can just find that sweet spot and put him out. And yeah, people might say Kris, he got cut from the UFC and then he had 5 straight wins. Um, like in the regional scene. But look at those fighters. Like, they are not UFC level whatsoever. They are at the bottom of the barrel, lowest competition Kris could find. So yeah, he got those wins, but they're against nobodies really. They're against nobodies. So when it comes to someone like Malcolm, he just needs that one good shot, and he's more motivated than ever in this fight. Kris is just here basically to make him look good, to get knocked out pretty much. UFC really like this kid, Wellmaker, and they want to hype him up and they want to make him into a star. So they're giving him a lamb to slaughter in Kris. So, like Wellmaker, just a rising star, knocked out Cameron Simon in 30 seconds. Great timing, very explosive. Kris, he's a fun fighter. Kris is don't get me wrong, he's a fun fighter. Comes forward, but he's just not UFC level. He gets hit way too much, walks into shots. So this is a pretty easy pick. Malcolm Wellmaker, first round knockout incoming. The UFC is building this guy up. Next fight on the card, we have Jamey-Lyn Horth versus Vanessa Demopoulos. I'm going with Jamey-Lyn Horth in this fight. I'm picking Jamey-Lyn Horth. Originally, this fight was supposed to be Jamey-Lyn Horth versus Teresa Bleda, I believe her name is, which is a young, hungry grappler who was probably going to dominate this fight. But now Vanessa is stepping up in about 10 days' notice. And it looks like she still has been training. She still seems like to be in good shape. But there is going to be a big height difference here. Jamey-Lyn will be 5'7", while Vanessa is going to be 5'2". And I believe this is going to primarily be a stand-up fight, like a fight standing on the feet. And I see Jamey-Lyn Horth using her length and reach to pretty much out physical her and outstrike her here. I'm not really a fan of both ladies here. You know, both of them aren't the best fighters. Jamie is losing split decisions. She's winning decisions. Same thing with Vanessa. She's losing split decisions, winning like none winning split decisions. None of them are really dominating their fights, not capitalizing on anything. They're both like decent fighters for the women's division, you know. But Jamie's a good kickboxer, but she doesn't have the best grappling or takedown defense. Vanessa has good volume, good footwork, decent striker, decent wrestler, but back takedown defense as well. I do think this will be a striking battle, like I said. So striker versus striker, I think Jamie can out physical her. She's been in a real training camp this whole time. She uses her length to her advantage, and Vanessa, I'm not a fan of Vanessa. You know, I don't want to be mean, but she just seems like brain dead. Like when she fights, she and just like her as a personality, I feel like her fight IQ isn't really the best. You know, I think Jamey-Lyn Horth might be more focused. She's had a full camp. She'll take this one for sure. She's gonna be a big height advantage, better physicality, and like I said, trained for a full fight camp. Vanessa, it's short notice for her, although she looks like she has still been training. She's scrappy, but she's hittable, and she's going to be hittable against Jamey-Lyn Horth. But it's not the most confident pick because Vanessa does have decent volume. But the pick is going to be Jamey-Lyn Horth at the end of the day. She's longer, fresher, should edge the striking exchanges. But yeah, next fight on the card we do have, and this is a banger of a fight. Ricky Simon versus Charles Jourdain. I'm going with Ricky Simon, however you want to say his name. I'm going Ricky Simon. So one thing you should know about Ricky, his when he first got into the UFC, his first two wins. This is gonna sound crazy. His first two wins were to Montel Jackson and Merab Devashvili, which is just a crazy two-fight win streak to have. Looking back at it now, you know, he's coming off a huge knockout victory as a big underdog against Javid Basharat. And before that big knockout, he was on a three-fight losing streak. So that's why he was such a big underdog. But leading up to his last fight, where he got the big knockout against Javid as a big underdog, he was saying he made some big changes in his training camp. You know, he invested in a sauna, a cold plunge. He was taking fight camps a lot more seriously. He was training hard every day, and it definitely showed in a big performance like that. So he has a lot of momentum coming into this fight, I would say. And when it comes to Charles Jourdain, Jourdain is fast. He likes to throw spinning kicks, spinning back kicks, spinning back fist. He puts on a show every time he fights. But I don't think he will be as busy as Ricky. I think Ricky could be throwing more volume in this matchup. He seems to have turned a new leaf in his training camp, seems super motivated, has a thick build that's just hard to bully around when you're as skinny as someone like Charles Jourdain, right? And Ricky, he's just coming off that knockout over Javid. He seems to have turned a new leaf. Ream training, he has good pressure. Jourdain, he's a flashy striker, but he can get outworked. Jourdain can get outworked. Um, yeah, the pick is Ricky Simone. He has more volume, more drive, and better recent form, I would say. And just look at him; it's kind of hard to bully someone like that around when you've kind of just built like a little tank, you know. Next fight on the card, we do have Cody Durden versus Jose Ochoa. Dude, I love this fight, and my pick for this fight is going to be Cody Durden. And I don't know if that's going to be a popular pick, but I feel Cody can get this done. There is a massive age difference here, which could be a big advantage for Jose. He's gonna be 10 years younger here. Jose, he's he's like any shoot box fighter, you know. He comes forward. These Brazilian fighters, they come forward, throw kicks up the middle. They stand tall. He has a heavy pressure. He has heavy pressure with his shots. Kind of just walks you down with his strikes. And for what it's worth, I usually always predict these shoot box fighters pretty well, like in their fights. I called Loner Kavanaugh beating him and his teammate who he just fought. So Loner beat them both, like I knew he would. I predicted Alan Nascimento to win last or 2 weeks ago now versus Jafio Filo, and of course I predicted Islam to beat Charles. But yeah, for whatever that's worth, Jose he's gonna be durable. Comes forward with a lot of volume and pressure. Has good takedown defense, which is he's gonna need in this fight for sure. And his only loss was to Loner Kavanaugh in his debut, which is not a bad loss to have right now because he's gonna be a world. Loner Kavanaugh is gonna be a world champion in the UFC, like pretty soon, I would say. But the thing about his pressure, Jose, he comes forward with a lot of pressure, but he can be reckless sometimes, and he can lose himself a little bit. He can get a little wild at times. Whereas Cody Durden, he comes forward as well with strikes, and he can also be wild and reckless at times. But his main goal is to take you down. You know, he's a pressure forward wrestler. That's what he's really aiming to do, and he has really good ground and pound. And not only that, he's looking for submissions as well. He's a busy guy on top. So when both fighters are willing to slug it out, I just think Cody Durden will be able to duck under a strike when Jose gets a little too reckless and get the takedown, you know? Um he'll get the takedown and I just feel like yeah, he has a 10-inch or 10-year advantage young being younger, but I just think those 10 years are filled with a lot of experience. You know, Cody Durden's not extremely old. Let me see how old he is. 34. Yeah, that's not like extremely old, you know? He has a lot of experience, and I'm sure he understands that he needs to get the takedown, and he's going to let Jose Ococha get a little reckless and duck under, get the takedowns. And even in the striking, I think Cody can hang here. And just because someone is more willing to go for the takedowns, that makes me lean towards them more in a fight where both of them can slug it out. But like I said, Jose has a 10 years younger. He's gonna be aggressive, high pressure, solid takedown defense. And Cody's gonna make this ugly. He's good. He's a gritty wrestler with solid top control. I just see Cody Durden with his more experience mixing the takedowns to edge a decision here, and he can hang with the strikes. So yeah, I'm leaning Cody here, but not extremely confident in this pick. Next fight on the card, though, we do have the great Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. So pretty easy pick right here. Pretty easy pick. I'm going Michael Chiesa, and I'm going Michael Chiesa. He's coming off of two submission victories. To I know he submitted Tony Ferguson, which isn't like the greatest victory to have, but his most recent one was pretty notable. I would say I just can't remember who it was. Anyways, Court McGee, he just beat Tim Means, which someone that's even older than Court McGee, and Court McGee is like 40 years old. So beating someone that's like 43 is like not really a notable win in my opinion. But before that fight, he has a loss. Court McGee has a loss to Alex Morono, and I'm not the biggest fan of Alex Morono and the way he fights. So losing to someone like that, coming someone who's like kind of out of shape and not really the greatest fighter, you're coming up against someone who's really in shape and very athletic, and Michael Chiesa can kind of do it all. Coming up against someone like Court McGee, I just don't see any route to victory for Court McGee. Yeah, just much better shape. For Michael Chiesa, the better, all well-rounded fighter, and I don't think Court McGee will have a chance in this fight. I think Michael, he would just be able to take it to the ground, submit him, out scramble him. I think it'll be not because Court McGee can't wrestle, because Court McGee he can wrestle, but I just think there will be an athletic difference here. That's the main point, and a difference in who's more dangerous, either striking or on the ground. He's gonna be more athletic and more dangerous, and I feel that's that margin is really wide. I feel it's going to be clear that this guy is the better fighter, you know? So, yeah, Chiesa, he's still very dangerous. Solid submissions, better shape, decent striking. McGee, he's a durable vet, but he's definitely 100% past his prime. So, I'm going Michael Chiesa. Athleticism and submission game should be enough to win him this fight. And if he loses this fight, I would be very surprised. I wonder what that 22 stands for in his chest. I should look that up. Anyways, next fight on the card we have the greatest fighter of all time, Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm going Rodolfo Bellato here. I'm pretty confident that he'll win. Pretty confident saying so. He's a heavy hitter. He likes to move forward against someone like as chinny as Paul Craig. That's going to work in his favor. Coming forward with big shots, that's going to work in Rodolfo's favor. But one thing that scares me about Rodolfo is that he likes to shoot takedowns, and if you give Paul Craig any chance to submit you or play jujitsu, he'll take that chance and he will submit you. But the thing that makes me still confident in Bellato is that I think the striking will just be very significantly different in terms of like who's the better striker. It is definitely going to be Rodolfo because when yeah, the reason why I don't worry about Rodolfo getting the takedowns is because I know that he will have a clear advantage in the striking. So he's going to just unless he's just like decides to be dumb and go for takedowns during uh a fight where he knows he's winning in the striking. I just don't see that happening. I think he's gonna be like, okay, I know for sure that I'm winning the striking. I'm gonna keep it up, and I think he'll get a knockout here. He'll be on. He the thing, yeah, he just be on. He'll be all right on the feet. I'm stuttering all over my words right now, but he'll be all right on the feet, and he won't need to go for a takedown. And that's why I think he won't get submitted here. I think the striking difference is going to be significantly different, and to the point where he just realizes like, okay, my striking is so much better than him. No reason for me to go for a takedown like I usually do, and he'll probably come get the knockout because he's a heavy hitter. He moves forward, and Paul Craig is very trendy. He's been knocked out many times. So, not to mention the big age difference here as well. Age 37 versus 29. Bellato is young. And as long as he doesn't get caught in a submission, he'll dominate and he'll knock him out. He's Bellato just heavy hands, very aggressive. Craig, very chinny, does have a submission threat off of his back, but I just don't think that Rodolfo. I think it's pretty obvious. Like, okay, I'm fighting Paul Craig. Don't go to the ground with him. You know. I hope Rodolfo realizes that his striking is good enough to not go on the ground with him. So the pick is Rodolfo Bellato. As long as he avoids the subs, he'll get the knockout. Pretty straightforward pick. Yeah. Next fight on the card, we have Alonzo Menifield versus Omar Sy. I believe that's oh, I believe that's how you say his name, Omar Sy. If it's not, my apologies, but that just looks like how you spell it. And my pick here is going to be Omar Sy. Surprise, surprise, it's Omar Sy because Alonso just seems like he isn't getting better. He's not improving. He's not getting better as a fighter anymore. He's just become way too predictable. You know, he has a ton of power, but the striking can be sloppy. And like I said, it's predictable what he wants to do. He wants to come forward and with his sloppy strikes and get the knockout on you. Against someone as intelligent as Omar Sy, that's not going to work. And also, there is a big age difference here as well. 37 years old versus 29 years old. 29 years old for the um, Omar Sy, who's on the come up. He's stronger. Not to mention, he's going to be taller as well. He's going to be taller, younger, more power, more smarter. Everything is kind of leaning on Omar's side to win this fight, you know? Sai will have a big physical advantage and a skill advantage. So when Alonzo fights someone high level, he usually just loses, you know? Omar, he's undefeated in his career and undefeated in the UFC. He's 2-0 in the UFC, and both of those two wins have been finishes. So he's looking to dominate every fight. He's not here to just lay on top of you or whatever. He's a really good, well-rounded fighter, and he's good at what he's doing. So, and just look at the aura difference. Like Omar has so much aura. Look at his eyes. He means business. This should be another finish in my opinion for Sai. I feel Sai can get a finish here, you know. But yeah, you can say that Alonzo Menifield has a puncher's chance because he does have power. He does have a chance if he catches him. You know, his power is legit, but he's just not getting better. He's just plateauing in his career. That's kind of what leads me to believe that this should be a dominant win for Omar Sy. He's younger, bigger, 2-0 in the UFC, tons of momentum right now, still undefeated. Omar Sy, better striking, more polished, and definitely more likely to get a finish. Like when it comes to the fight IQs of both of these fighters, Omar Sy seems like he just means business and he's very skilled at what he's doing. So I'm going Omar Sy. Next fight on the card, we have Edmund Shahbazyan versus Andre Petroski. I just want to say when I make these predictions, I'm not sure what the odds are, so I'm just kind of picking my predictions based off of just genuinely what I think. I'm not being influenced by the odds, so I still don't even know what the odds are for this fight. But I'm going Andre Petroski, and I feel he. I'm not sure what the odds are for this fight, but I feel like a lot of people might be on Edmund's side, but I'm leaning Andre Petroski. You know, Edmund, he's a good striker. He's a heavy hitter, but he can be taken down though. He is still very young in MMA, which is good. He's still learning, and he seems like he's coming into his own. He's getting better and he's learning what his strengths and weaknesses are. So when it comes to Andre Petroski, he's a big, heavy hitter, big power puncher as well, but he's also good with wrestling. And he usually wrestles you after wobbling you on the feet. So w- if they go in a striking uh, exchange, I think Andre will have the more power and he'll have the wrestling advantage when things get shaky for him or when he wobbles Edmund. And that's going to look great on the judges' scorecards. And who knows if Edmund can even take that power, from Andre. Anyways, this is going to be a great fight, regardless. I think Andre was just a more well-rounded fighter, and I think he will mix in the takedowns, and he'll just get the win. It's a tough pick though, but because both guys really aren't the top level of their division. They're not. They're both of them aren't the greatest fighters. But Andre just seems like he has a bit more momentum going for him right now. I believe he's on a three-fight win streak currently, and he's just been fighting a lot smarter, and he seems like he has a bit more momentum coming in right now. So Edmund, he's a dangerous striker. He is a dangerous striker, but he just has weak takedown defense. So I'm leaning Andre Petroski because he's a strong wrestler. Mixes it up better lately. So yeah, I'm going Andre Petroski, just more well-rounded. Should wrestle his way to a win, and could even be the stronger power puncher, stronger hitter. But yeah, next fight on the card we have Cody Garbrant versus Rayoni Barcelos. I believe this is how you say his name. So Rayoni Barcelos, he's 38 years old right now. But he did not look 38 years old in his last fight. He just dominated Peyton Talbot, giving Peyton his first ever loss. And I don't think anybody saw that coming. No, I don't think anyone saw that coming. Cody Garbrandt, he's 33 years old, former champion, but he isn't the same fighter that he used to be. He just got out grappled and submitted by Davison Figueiredo. And I think Rayoni's wrestling will win him this fight. You know, he's an aggressive wrestler, and I think that will be able to dictate this fight. He's still a great fighter despite his age, and he's good everywhere. You know, and what's Cody gonna do in this fight? Is Cody gonna knock him out? I just don't see that happening. You know, Rayoni looked pretty good in striking. His striking looked pretty good in his last fight, and Cody just has that big, wild knockout power shot, but he's going to load up on his shot. And I feel like it's just too predictable nowadays. He's not who he used to be. He's still fast, he's still strong, but I think Rayoni's wrestling will be able to dictate this fight. He just dominated a rising star in Payne Talbot. Great wrestler, strong everywhere. And not to mention Cody's chin is just gone. So Rayoni lands a nice shot. Like, who knows what that's gonna do to Cody Garbrandt? And he's got out wrestled by someone smaller than him. By Davison Figueiredo, and he got submitted in the second round. So the pick is Rayoni Barcelos. I'm going to assume that Rayoni's wrestling is going to be he's going to out grapple Cody Garbrandt, and he's more reliable. As weird as it sounds, as a 38-year-old, he's more reliable than Cody Garbrandt right now. Because Cody's pretty much just done. His chin is done. Um his skills are kind of gone too. Like, he's just not the same fighter anymore. So yeah, I'm going Ryoni, Barcelos. Next fight on the card, we have boom Mansoor Abdul-Malik versus Cody Brundage. I'm excited for this fight, man. I'm very confident in saying Mansoor is going to dominate this fight, completely dominate this fight. Cody, he's just a mid brawler, you know. He has okay wrestling coming up against someone who can do it all. It's not gonna be enough. Especially Mansoor, he can wrestle, you know. That's kind of his thing. Well, he can also do it all, which is scary. He will out wrestle, out strike, out everything. Cody Brundage, you know. Mansoor will just run through this guy. It's Abdul Mansoor fight week. Like this guy's pretty much like the star of the whole show, in my opinion. You know, let me just explain to you how it's gonna go down. Okay, like Mansoor Abdul Malik, he's just gonna walk through the octagon, just like a friggin' beast. He's gonna be like, wow, who am I fighting again? Oh yeah, this dweeb, Cody Brundage, and then the ref or Bruce Belfry, they're gonna be announcing, introducing their names and say the records, and referee's gonna be like, "Okay, guys, fight." Abdul, he's gonna walk up to him, he's gonna put his arm out, just grab his face with one hand, slam him on the ground, and then he's gonna throw him across the octagon, pick him up again, throw him like a baseball across the octagon again. He's gonna walk up to him, just not even run. He's gonna walk up to him. He's going to just Hulk pick him up and just smash him on the ground again. And then he's gonna pick him up again by the fins of his hair and just crush his face and just get his other hand and just smash Cody into a ball like a snowball. Then Cody turns into like a super small ball, and then Mansoor will just flick him up in the air, pop him in the mouth like a piece of gum, like a Tic Tac. You know, Daniel Cormier, Joe Rogan, and Dom Cruz are all gonna be in straight disbelief. They couldn't believe what they just saw, and the ref is gonna be in the corner shivering and sweating and tell Mansoor Abdul like, "Hey, you can't do that." Abdul's gonna be like, "What'd you say to me, little man?" And the ref's gonna start bawling his eyes out, crying, "Oh no, I'm sorry." And then he just runs out the cage. Abdul turns into this big Hulk, starts stomping on everyone and eating them. The whole UFC event is gonna be canceled. And but hey, you're a parlay hit, you know what I mean? So that's the good thing. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Like it's gonna suck that the UFC event's they're gonna be canceled after dual fights. But hey, then he's just gonna turn into this big crazy Hulk, start eating people, stomping at everyone. President Donald Trump, he's gonna have to call the army on this guy, and they're gonna tell him, "Yo, this freak of nature just took over Las Vegas, and he's just causing chaos in the city of Las Vegas. Everyone's gonna be screaming, and crying, and hiding." So I think Madhu Super League is gonna win this fight. He's gonna dominate this fight. Yeah, next fight. Um, yeah. In all seriousness, no. In all seriousness, though, I'm not sure what that was, but Cody is just a wild brawler. You know, he has average wrestling. Mansoor can do everything better than him, and this is pretty much a mismatch. He's going to destroy Brundage, and it's just chaos, chaos incoming from Mansoor Abdul Malik's side. Like he's probably the most confident pick on this card. Next fight on the card, we have Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. Now look, I was pretty torn on this fight because I wanted to pick Miranda, but essentially I ended up going with Rose Namajunas. I'm going with Rose because she's a good, well-rounded fighter, and I feel her experience will be enough to win her this fight. It's a good fight over here. Rose is just a good overall fighter. Miranda is a really good wrestler, pressure wrestler, and she's strong, small, and muscular. On the feet, I think Rose will definitely be the better striker. But Miranda is going to have to find the takedowns here. And I think Rose has a ton of more skill in the stand up exchanges enough so that she can defend the takedowns and outclass her on the feet. And that's really what it came down to. I think Rose is more technical. She has great striking and decent takedown defense. Miranda, she's a very strong. She's a wrestler, but she needs the top control to win this fight. So I'm picking Rose Namajunas because she has more skill and she should be able to stuff the takedowns and outclass her. You know, I believe Rose can get up as well from being taken down by Mireva. It is a tough pick though because Miranda's kind of short, stocky wrestler. Like those ladies are hard to beat, but I just think the skill difference will be there for Rose. The experience will be there for Rose, and I believe she will be able to stuff the takedowns in this fight. I believe that was the co-main event. On to the main event, we have Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. Guys, I'm picking Joaquin Buckley. How can you not? How can you not pick Joaquin Buckley in this fight? Kamaru's on a 3-fight losing streak, which is crazy because when Kamaru beat Tyron Woodley during the time when Woodley was the man, I thought that was the craziest thing ever. That was such a big deal because at that time he seemed untouchable. And he's still a great overall fighter, but at 38 years old, he's definitely out of his prime. And after this, I definitely think he should retire. He'll be on a 4-fight losing streak, and there's nothing left for him here. Coming up against guys that are like as motivated and hungry, as young as Joaquin Buckley, you're gonna have a very tough time dealing with him because, like I said, Joaquin, he's a dangerous striker, motivated, hungry, great wrestler as well, and great overall fighter. Just quick and fast, and he every fight he just looks to be improving. So he has a lot of momentum coming into this fight. Usman is just he's not Usman anymore. He's not the champion anymore. He's completely out of his prime. But the thing about this fight is that you have to keep in mind it's 5 rounds. And Kamaru has way more 5 round experience. And Kamaru, he can win those later rounds. But will he make it there? I don't think so. I think Joaquin Buckley is gonna shut his lights out. And even in uh the later rounds, I think Joaquin Buckley will still be able to carry that power enough so that Kamaru Usman doesn't want to mess with him and take a chance, you know. But I think there's gonna be a athletic difference here, a motivation difference here, you know. Usman's just past his prime, 3-fight skid, but you can't count out his 5 round experience. You can't count that out because he does have it and he knows what to do with it during the later rounds. He's very experienced there. But young Buckley is just more younger, explosive, and every fight he's improving. And to think that Jovan Buckley is gonna let himself gas, like get a training camp, do a whole training camp just to let himself gas in rounds 4 or 5, I don't see that happening. You know, Jovan Buckley he wants his bad. So the pick is Jovan Buckley. He's hungrier, more dangerous, and I can definitely see him getting a knockout here. You know, he can shut Kamaru Usman's lights out with the right shot. He just a bunch of pressure with the strikes. Yeah, and even if not, he's going to land the better shots. The thing about Usman is he is very composed. You know, he's composed enough to pick you apart and land good shots as well. Take it into the later rounds. But there's been talks about Kamaru Usman's knees, and he's just 38 years old, and he looks like he's fighting like that. There's just a lot of negatives about Kamaru Usman, even though he does have some positives. But right now, Joaquin Buckley is pretty much on top of the world, like on the rise, and he's just everything is kind of leaning for him to win this fight. You know, like okay, yeah, it'll go into the fourth or fifth round if it gets there. But Joaquin's still gonna be more, if not as or more composed as Kamaru Usman. He's not gonna be recklessly throwing shots. He's gonna be maybe even mixing in his own takedowns. You know, I can definitely see that happening. I just see a domination fight. You know, it might be a little close in the first couple rounds, but the power is there for Buckley. Hungrier, definitely more explosive, and just dangerous overall. Like as an overall fighter, he's gonna be wrestling. I just think a lot of flags are pointing to Joaquin Buckley getting this win right here. three-fight losing skid. But at the end of the day, he's still Kamaru Usman, and don't count him out. But yeah, I'm going Jokan Buckley. I believe he will be the favorite in this fight, and I think he's going to be a pretty big favorite, despite like recency bias and just who they are at the stages of their career at this point. But yeah, these are my picks. Next slide. It is goodbye, friends. Those are my picks. Now it's your turn. Drop your picks down below. I want to know what you guys got this weekend. Let me know who you're riding with this weekend. And if you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn on. Yeah, so